final thoughts from you, and also any final advice to citizen journalists out there, young men and women that are inspired by this story, that want to create this on some level.
Yeah, so citizen journalism is blowing up on X. I think Elon's talked about it. He mentioned it. That's what the term was coined after the FTX space when he called it citizen journalism. And he's used that term multiple times afterwards. And there's a lot of people that are doing it. They're doing an incredible job and doing things like, going on, like I don't go on the ground yet. I just do things I don't think I need to. There's people going on the ground and covering different situations. My advice to them would be, first, keep doing it. Like, this is great. But do not fall victim to the same biases and flaws in the systems that built the mainstream media that exists today. Don't let advertisers dictate what you say. Don't let your biases stand in the way. Or if you're biased, say you're biased, say your stance. Don't pretend you're unbiased. So people understand this is your stance. And then I think more citizen journalists trying to be unbiased would be perfect. I just don't know how they could do it. I don't know how they could do it sustainably long term. I'm doing it, that's because I can fund myself with the business side. Right. I don't need advertisers. That's because I've been like this. My personality has been unbiased already since I was a kid because of my personal experiences. So, but not everyone has that. Everyone has their biases. Everyone lives in a certain environment. Someone in the Arab world, it's very hard for them to talk about the Israeli side of the argument. Someone in the US, it's going to be very hard for them to talk about the Russians. That's why one reason I'm in Dubai. Well, mainly I'm in Dubai well before all this news and mainstream media and all this spaces. I've been in Dubai since my e-commerce days, my old company, for taxation purposes. And then I just enjoy living here. But luckily I'm here. It's because it's a country that it's in the middle. Like, it doesn't take sides, and it doesn't force you to take a side. So I can be as unbiased as possible, and I can give a voice to everybody. But it makes it very hard for someone to speak out against the Canadian Prime Minister while they're based in Canada, or speak out against Putin. That's even worse. Speaking out against Putin while based in Russia is a lot scarier. Or speaking against Hezbollah when I'm in Lebanon, or speaking against the Israeli Prime Minister when I'm in Israel. It's just much more difficult. So I don't know. It's going to be hard for citizen journalists to really achieve what we want to achieve, decentralized, transparent news. But I just want more people to do it. I think that the more attention that comes to it on a platform like X, at least we're heading in the right direction, disrupting the existing mainstream news systems that we have that are flawed.
You mentioned X, last question. Do you think it's only a matter of time before platforms like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram have to follow the lead of X and stop a lot of the centralized censorship policies? Or do you think because they're so big, they can just hold out and do what they need to do?
They are. Surprisingly, they are. Most people don't know this. I had Mark Andreessen on my show once, and he's on the board of X, and he's also on the board of Meta. Or he was when he was on the interview. And he said to me, when Elon did, that was a while ago, when Elon did the verification tick, Mark goes he's like, this is an experiment. And Meta's watching very carefully. And then we saw Instagram copy it in some ways. We're seeing them be more careful on what they censor. They're seeing Twitter as a threat. Well, they have to respond. Now then the question becomes, will their biases or the flawed system or the corruption, whatever you want to call it, the conflict of interest, better than corruption, will those be too strong and decisions be made based on those rather than based on business decisions? Because business decisions, you gotta decentralize. You gotta open up your censorship. Otherwise, X is gonna eat your lunch. People are starting to see how censored those platforms are. So if they don't act now, it's gonna backfire on them. From a business perspective, they need to act.
Well, they have the advertisers still now.
Yes.
But maybe not the
advertisers
eyeballs.
without exactly.
It's trending to X right now.
Exactly. X's metrics are blowing up. So if they don't act and taking more baby steps at least, and if they're still held captive by the advertisers, by the conflicts of interest, by the internal biases, then they're going to go down the same path as mainstream media. But I think most of them are too smart for that. I think the hierarchical structure, even though it'll delay this, they're going to be forced into it. And I'm already seeing small signs of it, but very, very small. And we'll see. I think they'll do it, but I think it'll be kind of too late where X is just going to dominate.
Are we ever going to see the YouTube files?
We've talked about it after the Twitter files. They're ugly files, aren't they?
Ooh.
They're ugly files.
YouTube's uglier. Yeah, it's another level of ugliness. If that ever came out, I mean, Google would probably have to write some big lawsuit checks.
Yeah.
But if Trump gets elected, who knows? Maybe he'll launch an investigation.
If there's YouTube files, we'll be covering it live, that's for sure. The team is covering the Epstein files now. We covered the Twitter files a while ago. So it only a matter. We did a few tweets on YouTube files back during the Twitter files day. There was a few leaks, but nothing in comparison to the Twitter files. So we'll see. I don't know what it'll take. It needs some sort of lawsuit or new level of ownership, or some executives kind of leaking all that information, like an Edward Snowden type leak, to get the YouTube files. But it's gonna be juicy, and I think it's gonna wake up a lot of people.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. Mario, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for what you're doing out there. I think this is amazing for people to see what it takes to do what you do and be on the front lines. I don't think people have any idea the kind of hate that you get and the kind of divisiveness that creates a life that most people would run away from. And yet you're built in a certain way where you're able to sustain it. So thank you for doing that. It's a huge thing what you're doing. And you combined with a platform like X, it literally is changing the world. And I don't think that's overstating the fact. And what you did with Russia and Silicon Valley Bank, I think your coverage that weekend, it might have actually had the Fed act on that Sunday night. And without those conversations, without someone forwarding it and saying, this is happening and this is happening, they might have missed that opportunity. And that could have been a massive, massive collapse for so many tech companies. I mean, you're right on the edge, man.
It is very tricky. I knew that. All the biggest voices leading the charge, Jason Calacanis, Bill Ackman being the biggest one, Mark Cuban, they were the biggest voices. They used X they used that space as the platform to lead that charge. And I know that eyes are on me. I know that they're on me. They're putting out that they want to hold, not long afterwards, they talked about X and spaces and how there should be some sort of law that limits what is shared there, and there's going to be a crackdown. And I know it happened on the Senate level, in the U.S. House, and within those groups like the Fed. So I know a lot of eyes are on me, and it's very, very tricky territory. We do have a lot of incredible support, though. There's more and more people supporting free speech, and you've been on the ugly side of it. I've seen the growth that you've had over the years and what you've achieved over the years. So you've had a lot of the voices on your show, some of the biggest voices on your show, talk about this. So we're leading a fight against something that's a lot more powerful and a lot more prevalent than people understand. And I know that I'm going to be targeted further. And it's not only on the US level. Remember, I cover world events. So I'm targeted across the world, depending on the event we cover. And it's only been a year, and look how much I've only told you about a small percentage of the amount of things that's happened to me. I just kind of hinted about some sort of assassination in Canada, for example. Imagine how crazy that is. I don't know what to believe or not to believe. These things are too far-fetched for me. It's related to the whole Israeli-Gaza war. I was on some list to be harmed, some Arab list of people that want to attack. They removed me afterwards. But I've only been doing this for a year. So censorship exists in the US, but it exists around the world. It exists within big tech, but it exists within mainstream media. It's bad in the US, it's bad in Canada, it's bad in France, it's bad in the EU, but it's worse in Russia. It's worse in China. What's going to happen to me when I cover some major event in China, or the China-Taiwan tensions and something there? What's going to happen to me that front? It's worse in Israel. It's worse in some Arab countries, most Arab countries. So it is very worrying content, and this is like the balance I have to hold. But again, it's a great chat. I think you've asked incredible questions, and I'm glad I decided to come on here to share the story.
Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.